Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Appreciate you, you guys taking the time. Every time that I put any presentation together, personally, I try to provide value to the people who join and those who watch later the recording. So hopefully you'll be benefiting from that as well. I do want to mention that if you're expecting some sales pitch, they're not going to be any. That's kind of not my style. My style is really to teach, to educate, to share. So hopefully nobody's disappointed. If you have questions throughout, please ask them, put them in the chat, or unmute yourself and maybe or raise hand or something, and I'll gladly pause and take your questions. So please do so. I like my style is a little bit more conversational and engaging, and not necessarily just to run through the material and get to the Q&A. I actually don't like to call it Q&A. I actually like Q&C. For me, it's a questions and conversations. So we will have time at the end to do the Q&C. During the Q&C, we can definitely talk about things that I'll talk about throughout the presentation, or other things related to real estate investing naturally. So by all means, you're most welcome to wait for the conversation section at the end, or ask throughout. Okay. All right. Here we go. Just to mention, we have a few upcoming events. Tonight, you obviously are aware of it. This is August 29. We have two events scheduled for September 17th and 18th in the Bay Area, in person, in the room in Sunnyvale. So a little bit different than the Zoom session that we all got used to. We're going old school, meeting in person, shaking hands, saying hello. So that's obviously a pleasure. And then we have another one towards the end of that's going to be another web one, virtual, towards the end of September. You are most welcome to register. Content is going to be different than tonight. Some things are going to be similar, but a very different presentation, very different classes, each one of those events. So just by joining one doesn't mean you're going to hear exactly the same thing on the next one. Okay, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dani Beit-Or. I am a real estate investor. I've been investing for 22, going on 23 years now. Most of my career has been out of state, long-term residential rentals. I've done that in many states over the years, over the past 20 years. I've started before the crash of 2008. I invested through the crash of 2008, post-crash, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, and today, right? Those are kind of the different interesting phases and interesting periods we had in the past 20 years. So I've been doing it for quite some time. Personally, I've invested, quite a lot on a personal level, but my experience really, my personal experience is, I think it's almost insignificant or very minor compared to me working with a lot of real estate investors, my clients, helping them buy, similarly to what we do, long-term rental properties throughout the country. So my true experience is being involved in I think well over 5,000 transactions in the past 20 years in more than 45 different US metros. So that has been the extent of my experience is many years, different periods throughout those years, a lot of investors, a lot of activities, primarily buy and hold long-term rentals, single family, duplexes, sometimes triplexes and fourplexes. So we've done that. I've done land, some commercial, I've done other things as well, but that's the majority of my experience. I've also flipped about 90 houses, so I got some experience with that as well. I'm no longer flipping anymore, so that's something that I'm not kind of pursuing anymore. Someone just asked me about it just the other day, and I decided, that was interesting. I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area for 10 years. For the past, that was 20 years ago. 10 years ago, I moved with my family to Orange County, California. So I'm now down in Orange County. but visiting the Bay Area quite a lot. Actually, I'm going to be there, as you can tell, in about 3 weeks or so. So with that being said, that's me. At least I want you to know a little bit where I'm coming from, what's my background. So I think that gives it a little bit more credibility, I hope, credibility when I speak, because I tend to be very involved with the transactions, with the things that we do. So that's how I'm able to gain a lot of knowledge and experience. A short disclaimer, I'm not going to read it. I just want to say tonight, I am going to touch somewhat on borderline taxation advice, different suggestions. So, always you take that, with the proper cautious, check with your professionals. Personally, I am knowledgeable about taxation just because I am practicing and I ask a lot of questions and I always dig around. That's the nature of my kind of my the way I operate. But I'm always, every time I come close to more deeper into the taxation aspect, I start feeling a little bit at unease. I don't want to provide it's not about providing the wrong advice. Is mostly not providing the correct or the proper advice for the person, just because we all have different, situations or different scenarios that we want to check. So that's kind of the extent of the disclaimer. I want to share with you. I want to equip you with information, but I want you to still talk to professionals. I do the same. When I need advice from a professional, I actually talk to a professional, such as the attorneys and CPAs. A slight small warning: this class tonight was not generated by GPT or any AI. It's all based on experience and knowledge firsthand. So if something seems like it's AI generated, it just looks AI generated. It is not. And again, questions are most welcome throughout the presentation, or you can hang on until the end when we do the Q&C, questions and conversations. I'm here. We're not going anywhere, or I'm not leaving anytime soon. I'll be, usually I stay way beyond the time of the original time of, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes is going to take. I do want to tell those of you who are going to wait until the end, I'm going to share with you 3 gifts. Again, no sales pitch, just things that we've put together over the years to your benefits. So those gifts are going to be given to you free. If you want to benefit, read some more, get some resources. It's actually a very nice compliment gift to tonight's topic. So we're going to share that with you. So you are most welcome to wait and get those gifts towards the end. All right. Okay, I decided this is a new class that I'm teaching for the first time. So I decided that I want to divide it into 3. There's a lot I could cover here, a lot, in tonight, but I had to trim it to the top things. So I divided it into 3 categories: decision making, cost cutting, optimizations, and I'm going to talk about 2-3 points each. There's more that if I will bring all the nuggets of decision making, cost cutting, and optimization, we will spend probably 2-3 hours, even more, because there's more to it. I just wanted to touch on a few things to share with you that I found most what I consider, I think, the top ones or most exciting, that hopefully you can benefit from them as well. I want to start with a very, very basic tool, and what you're seeing here, it's the Simply Do It Excel analysis tool. And I'm not here to pitch you on the analysis Excel tool, which I am crazy about. I'm here to say you need a tool. You need a good tool. You need a tool to help you make decisions. And that's super important, that you find that tool anywhere, online, buy something. It doesn't matter, as long as you have a proper tool. And let me tell you why I'm saying this, because there are a lot of calculators, Excels, that will show you how to analyze a rental property. What I found over the years, 99.7 point whatever, are very basic, right? You plug in a few numbers and they give you an answer, but you know what? They're so basic, it's almost like unjust to use them, right? So that by the way, that was me before the crash of 2008. I was using a very simple calculator analysis tool, not even close to what you're seeing in front of you. What you're seeing in front of you came right after the crash of 2008, when I told myself one of the conclusions that I had after the crash of 2008, I need a better tool. I need a better tool that represents how I go about investing, that factors all the returns that I'm looking for, etc. And I've created this tool, and I want to tell you that I wanted to use a little bit a snapshot. Obviously you can see there's place to put the property details and the purchase assumption and the financing and the ongoing expenses. I think that's rather self-explanatory, but this is just only where you plug in the details. In the background, what I like about this tool is in the background, it actually analyzes the details, the assumptions, the numbers that we're plugging in. It's still just an Excel. It's not an AI Excel. It's just an Excel, and runs an analysis over 30 years, year after year. So there's 30 columns that are checking the performance of the property every single year. What's the cash flow? What's the expenses? How much appreciation? Everything, right? Very complex, very, very complex engine in the background. And we are using it a lot, all the time. And is it a perfect tool? Probably not. Is it a pretty good, pretty reliable to what we're looking for? I would say yes, very much so. Especially if you know how to work with this tool or what the mindset to work with this tool. I will tell you that I think that between the team at Simply Do It, our agents, and the different our investors, my assumption, I don't really know, but my assumption is that this tool was used to analyze well over 100,000 properties by now, right? We didn't purchase 100,000 properties, or 100,000 properties were not purchased, but analyzed, right? Analyzed because sometimes you analyze a property and you come to the conclusion you want to spend time or make an offer or work on it, but definitely use it a lot. So if you don't have a tool, find one, right? This is what we're using. This is something all our teams, all our investors are using. One thing that I want to mention, when I see different analysis tools out there, they're lacking, they're missing. I'll tell you something that really pisses me off when I see it, right? So superficial. Sometimes I see an analysis and that analysis doesn't factor in vacancy, right? As if the houses are occupied 100% of the time. Well, you know what? Sometimes they are, most times they're not. Vacancy is not there. Why isn't it there? As it is manipulating the numbers. What's going on here? Or I've even seen places where the HOA doesn't show up, right? Assuming there is an HOA, it doesn't show up. Why? I don't know. But why do people neglect to do that? How about leasing fee? So we buy a house, we put it, as a rental, we list it out, and we pay a listing fee in most cases, unless we're doing it ourselves, to a listing agent or property manager, whatever. Where is the listing fee, right? We don't. It's not a cost. So when I look at those numbers many times, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a very nice cash flow. And then I start asking myself, where's the listing fee? Where's the vacancy? Where's the HOA? Maybe something else. When I know to run the numbers, I can already tell after looking at the numbers, the beautiful numbers at first, and then realizing it's lacking. I know the cash flow they're presenting is probably realistically less than half what we're seeing on the analysis, right? That's not the case here, right? That's not the case here. This is an Excel. If we are going to plug in the wrong numbers, it will show wrong outcome, right? Or not a good outcome. If I'll show amazing rents and has nothing to do with reality, I just manipulated the Excel. But at least there's a room for all those figures and not forget them because it's more comfortable to show it without the vacancy. So decision making, number one, is using a good analysis tool. Okay, decision making point number two, which I gotta tell you is a tricky one, is how do we go about rental, finding the rents in a certain area, right? I can tell you there's a lot of art and science into it. When we go on Zillow, we get a rent estimate. Now, Redfin also produces a rent estimate, not always. There are rent facts, and this website and multiple websites out, actually not too many, that are generating rents. But for me, 20 years in, tens of thousands of properties evaluated personally, right, over the years, that's always been a tricky one. How do we evaluate, the rent and not being overly cautious and overly optimistic, right? It's a tricky. So the simple answer is it's not going to be perfect, right? Because we can do amazing data analysis and still come up with a number, and then the market will tell us what they think. So first of all, I have to understand it's not going to be perfect. There is an unknown factor to it. The second thing is I have to work with something, and I want to be as accurately as possible. So what kind of tools I'm using? Well, many MLSs do produce rent comps, and that's a very reliable source, or one reliable source. Zillow is another, I would say, somewhat reliable source. Maybe we go to Rentfin or another website that produces a rent, and we average those out, and we say, okay, between all those three, I get a good sense. I also personally like to use the local teams, because the local teams, the property managers and the agents, sometimes will tell me, yes, the rent is on this house is $1,500 on paper, but this is a ranch style. It's it's very desirable. It's very likely someone will pay an additional $50, $100 on it. By the way, the fact that you have a gated, a fenced backyard, will probably add another $50 a month. So looking at the property and knowing what the market dynamics are and what culturally people are looking for, you can actually look at a property and say, on paper it's $1,500. In reality, I may be more realistically be at $1,650, right? An additional $150. So I gotta factor those those things in, not just sit or determine based on the Zillow or technology or data, but actually listen or work with the local people to tell me why a certain house could be more rent, or actually even less rent, right? Because of its condition or undesirable area or something like that, or less desirable, let's just say less desirable area. So keep that in mind. Rent is a little bit art and science. Two websites that I like to use when it comes to kind of validation in what you're seeing in front of you. Some of you probably know this is Zillow on the rent search, and I like to zoom in and see what's available in the area. What's my competition, right? So how many houses, what they're asking for, how close they are, how they look like, right? So it's not that the number I can draw like easy comps and generate, like just using some formulas, but at least I get a sense of the different houses in the area and what's my competition. Because technically, if I have three houses in the community I'm buying, or my house is in, and they're similar, they're my competition, right? So I can know he's my competition in the community, in the neighborhood, or across something close but across the street, and that helps me and make sure I'm in the right place. So one way is just to look at Zillow rentals, see what's available within nearby. Second tool that I really like to use, it's called Deal Check. You have a link on the bottom. Deal Check is a fee-based, not expensive tool that helps with the analysis. Going back to the previous screen. Hopefully there's no hiccup here. Something is showing that's lacking. If you can, let's just see. I'm gonna pause for a moment. If you can tell me you can hear me, see me, raise your hand. Put something in the chat, then I'll know we are okay. I'm going to wait for a moment just to make sure. I think we have a hiccup here. Okay. All right, James. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. I'll take it as everything is okay and not really a hiccup. Apologies. So the other tool that I like, Deal Check, you can use that link. This is both an analysis, pretty good one. The one that I like to use, which is not my Excel, I would say Deal Check. And the second thing, it does provide rent comps, sales comps, etc. So if you don't have a tool and you're looking for something that is pretty good, I think you get your money's worth. Well, I've been a subscriber for them for a few years now. That's the first and only tool that I stayed as a subscriber for such a long time, just because it's very reliable and very productive, and there's a lot of value from what I'm getting from that tool. So those two are to summarize, after everything I said about rent checking and understanding it's an art and science, the science part is maybe deal check. The art part is using Zillow with some common sense, comparing what's available around you. What's your competition? All right. We skip. I think we skipped quickly. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Sorry for that. Okay. Switching to cost cutting, right? So we all know that we spend a lot of time finding a great deal and maybe some equity or flipping or whatever. And this is where we should focus, because that's usually where the big bucks are. But at the same time, there are a lot of areas, and I'm going to talk about them, where there's, I want to say, small money, right? Or smaller amounts, but they do add up, right? And I'll explain to you what add up really means. First one, property taxes, okay? Property taxes, most of you know, all of you know, you can contest, protest, whatever in every state, right? When you get it, you can contest it, you can protest it, whatever. There's a procedure, a process. The one thing that I can tell you personally, every time I try to do it myself, I was not successful, right? I didn't try many times. I tried 4 or 5 times myself, providing documentation, even spending time learning what I need to provide, what kind of justification, etc. Didn't work. We partnered. Finally, I found a good partner that they do a large amount of property taxes protesting around the country. They are not in every state, right? They're only in those states. What are we seeing here? Texas, Illinois, Florida, Georgia, California, and something is blocking, Washington and New York, right? So you can, within probably less than 5 minutes, I want to say about 5 minutes per property, log in, submit your information, and let them run their course with protesting it for you. When I spoke to those guys, they told me that at least in Texas, they run such a large volume. The counties are having a dedicated representative just to work with them, because that's the amount of volume they run. And they are very successful. We found one of my clients already told me they were able to save a few $100s, which is not too exciting, but it's nice. I mean, for 5 minutes effort, it's pretty nice. This is something you can consider on your own personal residence if you are living in one of those states. So this is not just a property taxes for investors kind of a tool, but if you are in Texas or in California or Florida, whatever, and you have primary and you want to protest, here's a tool. It doesn't cost anything, and they do get a compensation based on success. So that's something to keep in mind. There is a success fee, which is, I think, a no-brainer. They're really good. Their tool is really simple to use. So that's pretty amazing. So I've already submitted a few properties. I actually have another one that I need to submit. And I don't have personal first-hand experience results just yet. But at least one of my clients, at least one, came back and said, done, we got that. And by the way, if you have multiple properties and you save a little bit per property, you know, that really starts adding up, right? One property, it's nice. 2 properties, nice. 3, 4, 5, maybe multiple years, that's even nicer. Okay. Second, cost cutting, insurance. Again, a challenge, right? On one hand, this is like a necessary evil. We all know that. And also a lot of hustle to shop. I got to tell you, this is one of the most annoying, Sisyphic, boring, time-consuming thing to do is shop for insurance and compare those policies. Oh my God, what an friendly and fun thing to do, although there's a lot of money there, especially if you have multiple properties. What we did, and by the way, I didn't mention it, I decided at the end of 2023 that 2024 is going to be a year that in Simply Do It, and for our clients and investors and network, we're going to start partnering up and using our buying power, our clout, towards finding good partners that we can utilize, and maybe, hopefully, they will be able to provide us better fees, discounts, etc. So we started up since January, lining up, actually since November, partners that are relevant for us real estate investors, so we can also start reducing expenses and improving our cash flow. One of those partners is an insurance partner, right? The property taxes is one of those partners. The insurance is also another partner. That this is kind of interesting because for several years, I've been looking for that insurance agent, companies, provider to partner on rental properties. And I was never able to really find a good resource until several months ago, almost a year ago, when we found a resource that all they do is rental properties. They do not work with homeowners. They do not do cars. They do not do umbrella even, or at least not yet. They only do rental properties, different types of rental properties, policies. And the reason we kind of partner with them or kind of created a collaboration with them is because they're saying, when we work with a large group like Simply Do It, we are going to be able to offer your clients right off the bat some discounts. And if your clients have multiple properties they're going to switch, we're going to be able to offer them even more discounts, right? So I can tell you that I started switching some of my policies to them. Some of the clients started switching some of their policies. I had a conversation with one of my clients who owns 12 or 13 properties, and we were talking about this just last night, about this. And I said, listen, if you are, and he was asking me about insurance, and I told him about this new relationship, and he very quickly said, 12 properties, 12 or 13, if I save $20 a month per property, that's a lot of money I'm saving for 1 month, multiple 12 months, multiple years, or multiply a few years. That adds up to thousands of dollars that he's going to be able to save. I believe that the states he's in is going to be able to save. This relationship, this company is not always going to be better than your local agent, especially in challenging states like Florida. So that's, Florida primarily, Texas a little bit are challenging, but it's worth checking. So if you reach out to them and you submit your property information, just going through Simply Do It, you're already getting into the discounted phase, or the discounted access, the backdoor access to discount. And if you have multiple properties, they'll be able to offer you even more. I'm not guaranteeing them on their behalf. I'm just saying that's what we've seen to be working. So you are most welcome to try that as well. Again, cost cutting. In your mind, always think, one property, not exciting. If I save $20 a month, even $100 a year, that's fine. If I have multiple properties, multiple months, multiple years, those numbers really start adding up very quickly. So all of a sudden, one policy sounds like, why bother? 3, 4, 5 policies, they add up very quickly to several $1,000s of potential saving. And then you start saying, you know what? I think that you owe it to yourself. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, and this is for me somewhat of an exciting topic, before we jump into the exchanges. I am not sure you guys are familiar with what's called an accelerated depreciation. And it's not necessarily that everybody will be able to use it, but I want to introduce you to the concept, and maybe you'll be able to figure it out if this is something for you. And that actually could work also with the next slide as well. So what is accelerated depreciation? Well, before we talk about accelerated depreciation, let's talk about regular depreciation. What is regular depreciation? When you buy a rental property, you are supposed to, it's not elective as much as I know, you need to do that. depreciate the structure, the building, the house over a course of a straight line, 27.5 years. So that means, let's just say you bought a house for 135 and the land is 35 and the building is 100. You divide 100 by 27 and a half, that's about $3,400 a year. And every year you're going to depreciate, in your Schedule E, in your tax return, another loss, right? Loss, quote unquote, of your property. And that will be part of your losses. You depreciate the structure. Now, if you have a mortgage and you're paying interest, it is very likely that at the end of the year, you will be positive, hopefully you are positive cash flow wise, let's just say $2,000 in the bank account. However, for tax purposes, you are reporting a loss of $1,500 or so, right? Because of the depreciation takes you down by actually presenting as if you're losing money on the transaction. For tax purposes, you're losing money. In reality, hopefully, probably you're not. You're good with your cash flow. Maybe not. So this is the normal depreciation schedule, 27.5 years, the exactly year after year for the next 27.5, if you even hold the property for 27.5 years. There is a twist in the plot. You may, under some circumstances, create an accelerated depreciation, meaning instead of doing the $3,500 a year in a straight line, you can actually bring some more losses or more depreciation amount to the first, second year of the property, and not doing it in a straight line, but like you're seeing in the yellow line surrounded by the dotted purple line, use more depreciation amount at the beginning of the owning the property and less throughout the process of holding the property. Why would you want to do that? Well, there's probably one main primary reason that you want to do that, and that's in some instances you may be able, and we'll talk about that in a moment, to offset your passive losses against your ordinary income. So let's just explain that a bit further. Let's just say you are a high earner, makes $250, $200 or more $1,000 a year. Okay, maybe more, a lot more, I don't know, right? Some of my clients are going to laugh when I say that. That's fine. And you are a W-2 and you pay taxes. And when you're paying taxes as a W-2, many times your access to tax shelters and tax planning, etc., is limited. There are tools out there, but they're limited. If you have losses generated from your investment activity, not just real estate investment activity, ideally you would take those losses from investing or losing on paper and offset them against your ordinary income and pay less in taxes. However, you can't do that, right? There is a limitation. If you make more than $150,000 a year, you can no longer offset those losses, which a lot of us are in that position. If you make less than 150, you do have between 100 to 150 up to $25,000 to offset. So there is some offsetting possibility there, but let's assume you're not at that point at that income and you make more. That means you don't have ability to offset those losses you're generating from the real estate that you already own. What do? Well, if you or your spouse are what's called real estate professionals, right? Real estate professional doesn't mean you need to have a real estate license like a realtor, but does mean that person is actively involved in your taking care of your properties, of your portfolio, and their income is coming from that activity. The question is this person spending at least 750 hours a year on real estate related activity as for example, this is a real estate related activity, and 50% or more of their income comes from real estate related activity, that person could qualify as a real estate professional. Again, check with your tax expert. I'm just kind of saying what I know about this regulation or code. It's all legal. There's nothing manipulative here. There's nothing shady about it. If the spouse is a real estate professional, then you have unlimited ability to offset passive losses against ordinary income. So for example, remember the client I told you that last night we spoke, and he owns 12 or 13 properties. It so happens he is a high earner in Silicon Valley and wife doesn't work. And if he sets it up that the wife will become a real estate professional, which is already involved in their activity, then he may be able, if he chooses to do so, to offset some of his expenses, some of his losses coming from depreciation against their ordinary income, right? And pay less in taxes. That's the whole gist of what I'm trying to say here. There is a mechanism. It's not a black and white clear that you can switch, click on a button and it will be ready. There are some things you need to do. However, if you are, or someone you know, are already in that position, you own real estate, you are, one spouse works, high earner, the second spouse either doesn't work or work part-time, that could already be a good setup to consider that status of a real estate professional. Just as an anecdote, I don't know if you ever heard of seen on different, reality shows or just in life, many times you see a very wealthy person, many times, very wealthy person who his husband or wife are a realtor. Why this high earner, super wealthy person needs to make the spouse work and get their real estate license? Have you ever thought about that? Well, if you thought about it and you didn't know the answer, this is the answer, right? Right here. So becoming a real estate professional and taking advantage of the accelerated depreciation, there are steps how to go about it. It's something that you can look into and consider in your life, maybe, okay? Next thing I want to mention is 1031 exchange. I'm going to guess that a lot of people have heard about it. I'm going to just say that one of the great features of real estate that you, or rental or investment properties, not primary residence, is that you can sell your house, your rental property, and exchange it, tax code 1031, into equal or greater house or houses. So that means in this example, the house on the top left is sold, and utilizing the equity that was accumulated in the past 10 years in that house, I'm going to put down 30% on 3 other houses and mortgage, and I'm buying, selling one for, let's just say, around 300,000, and buying 3 other houses. Combined value of those 300 is almost 900,000, right? So one house is sold and utilizing the equity into 3 other houses without needing to bring more cash from my own money, right? I'm not using my own cash. I'm using the equity that was accumulated in one of my properties. This is what I call the hockey stick effect of real estate, right? Like startups, it just usually doesn't take within 6 months to 2 months. Within 6 months to 2 years. It takes a little bit longer, 5 years, 7 years. But think about it. You bought one house and then you waited, let's say 7 years, no guarantees that it will appreciate as much, but let's just say it's appreciated. And maybe 5 to 7 years later, you've accumulated enough equity in that house that you can sell it and buy 2, 3 other houses instead, in a 1031 exchange. So that's something that worth considering or thinking. 1031 exchange is not a tax exemption. 1031 exchange, it's tax defer. So that means you are just pushing the tax liability into the future, right? How far into the future? Well, the day we leave this planet, we're actually going to carry that defer taxes with us, to our next adventure, right? So that doesn't, our kids, whoever, benefits from our estate, are not going to inherit that deferred taxes. So keep that in mind. It's a really easy, it's not an easy to do, but it's a really beneficial for a lot of investors. And I'm blown away. So many investors have heard about it and they're not exploiting or leveraging this mechanism that is given to them. You don't have to be a real estate professional. You just need to own and follow some guidelines related to 1031 exchange. And I got to tell you, we do a lot of exchanges here. We've developed our own kind of mechanism to, within the guidelines of a 1031 exchange, how to expedite or how to increase the successes of an exchange happening and succeeding and deferring taxes and not failing, right? There are limitations to the process. We're not going to dive into it. 1031 exchange, worth knowing if you haven't known about it, and it's relevant for long-term rentals, properties. It's, as much as I know, it's irrelevant for short-term flips. That's just my reading on the material of 1031 exchange. Moving to the third section, guys. Moving to the third section. By the way, I'm going to hold, let me check here that if there are any questions that I've missed. Nothing so far. Okay, you're most welcome to ask questions, of course, or wait for our Q&C coming up any second, or sorry, in a few minutes. Let's move on to the optimizations. What is the optimizations are all about? Slide, please move on. Okay. Did I miss anything here? Okay. I am very excited about this. This is a major development on our end that we are just rolling out to our clients, and I wanted to share that with you, and I call it the hybrid property management or the hybrid property management concept. So let me step back and say, for the past 20 years, we've been working with property managers in the traditional role of property managers, managing all our clients' properties in every aspect of traditional property management: leasing, renovating, fixing, maintenance, checking the properties, everything, right? So this is, and by the way, we still do. We have not moved away from the traditional property managers company, property management companies. However, after 20 years, I've decided it's about time to make some changes because I am unhappy about things that I'm seeing, or I have been unhappy for many years, and I've always pushed away from this, and I decided that's it. It only took me 20 years, but I'm ready. I'm finally ready to make a change. So we are starting August of 2024, are offering our clients an alternative way to manage their properties, not using property managers. If they want to use property managers, we are still in that business. If they don't want to use property managers, we have an option for them. And this is why I got to this point. So property managers, the traditional property manager, even the good ones, and we have a lot of good property management companies we work with for many years. None of them are perfect, but they're really good people, quality, integrity, caring. But there's a lot of inefficiencies, right? There's a lot of inefficiencies that comes with property management, and it creates friction and frustration a lot. Over communication, over not delivering on time, lack of responsiveness, and mistakes, right? This is such a human dependent operation. Mistakes are happening left and right, and guess who left with the bill, right? Usually it's not the property manager, it's the owner. So things like, for example, I can tell you, oh, we gave the security deposit back to the tenant because they called us every day and they were bugging us, and oh, I'm so sorry, we should have not released the security deposit now that you have some expenses. Why does that happen? I don't know. Should not happen, for sure. Or, oh, I'm so sorry, we forgot to ask for your permission to buy to pay for this repair of $750. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's a mistake. I know I'm so sorry, right? You guys familiar with that? So a lot of those sorry mistakes, property management, traditional property managers have a lot of inefficiencies in their operations. Their inefficiencies are spread over multiple areas and facets of their operation. It's so challenging for them to say, okay, I need to fix everything, in order to create the improvement, because they need to spend a lot of time and energy on many aspects and facets of their business, only to create 2% improvement here and 3% improvement there and maybe 5% over there, not realizing that all those few percentages of improvement here and there are adding up to a lot of numbers. So I decided, if they're not going to do it, and I've tried, right, and we work with a lot of them and we have a lot of clout with them, but it's so difficult to teach old dog new tricks. I decided that maybe I need to be the one who does something about it. So what have we done? I decided to create a new concept, completely methodology for our clients and myself to manage our properties, right? And the idea is, hang on, I'm looking for a slide that explains that. Sorry, it's kind of okay. The idea is this: between the traditional property managers that we are familiar with on the left, and some people already started using it in the recent years. I've been doing it for many years. Self-managing, right? Self-managing, you use no property manager and you use your own tools. Maybe you found a good software application online. Maybe you're using an Excel. Most of the clients that I know that do, or people that I know do self-manage, they do it poorly, terribly, right? Actually hurting themselves without realizing this. So I decided there's got to be a middle ground. And the middle ground for me is the hybrid property management concept. And the hybrid it's really there in the middle between not using property managers and using the self-managed concept, but with a very strong ecosystem, support system in the middle, right? And that's what we created. In the core of our activity, there is an application. It took us a very long time to find the right app, software that can utilize or can achieve everything or most of everything that we want to accomplish for our clients. I interviewed hours of interviewing and digesting and investigating probably the top 10 plus platforms out there, and all of them lack a lot of features, right? So even the one that I picked still is lacking feature, but is more suitable for what I'm trying to accomplish. So in the core, we have a technology that can consolidate everything: communication with the tenant, communication with vendors, tracking maintenance, tracking activity, tracking leasing, reminders, notifications, accounting, and more. I'm not even, there's more than I'm already using, but a lot of those things, and they're done in a robust, reliable way, right? So some of the systems out there, they're lacking different things, and that's where or they're missing major component, and that's where it was very difficult for me to pick all the other ones. It took me a long while to find the one that we decided on using. Then on the top of that, we have created already and are continuously updating a large pool of vendors, right? So we can start tapping into vendors. Now, not only that those vendors are companies that we are engaging in working relationship with, right? Some of them national providers, some of them local providers. Many of them, we come in and say, we have a lot of properties and we're going to be a large group, buying group for you. We only want you to provide reliable, good service to our clients. Don't be expensive. Don't take advantage of our owner. Provide good service and work and quality, and that's what we're looking for. I'm not delusional that those are all going to be amazing all the time, but at least using our buying power, I have noticed, buying power meaning a lot of properties in our network, I have noticed that a lot of resource out there, a lot of providers out there, they don't want to deal with the individual. They're saying, when I approach them as an individual, say, we're not a good fit for you. And then I say, you know what? But we have so many doors in our network in so many markets. They're like, wait, let's talk, right? All of a sudden, I'm not getting a discount necessarily. I'm just getting access, right? Something that even if you have 5 properties, a lot of those providers are not going to provide you with a service. And then you have this big group that is kind of the overall relationship. They would probably want to keep us happy, Otherwise, we're going to say, oh, those guys are screwing up again and again. Let's kick them out and not use them, right? So just as an example, a large pool of network in many areas. So that is very valuable for us investors to be able not just to use an app, but who's going to do the work, right? How's the transparency going to work? How am I going to be efficient self-managing when I don't have all those tools around me, resources around me? And then this group here that can help me when I got a question, I have someone that I can check, talk to, run the situation by. They can help me steer things around. So that would be something that none of those other platforms have, is the accessibility to those vendors, the ability to tap into some advice, so to speak, right? And those are very valuable things, especially if you are self-managing. So that's a completely new approach out there. Not a single platform that I spoke to have anything like that. They say, we like this idea, it's a great idea. All of them said so. Most of them were just not suitable to work in that capacity. They're either property managers only or self-managed individually and lacking a lot of the features. So those are the main things that are coming, or we are rolling up with this new approach to self-managing or hybrid property management that we are doing. We actually announced it in August, and we're starting to onboard Simply Do It clients as we speak. Now, one of the things that we found out that's lacking tremendously around this new concept of property management is actually the leasing. And I decided that I need to tackle the leasing in a completely new way, or different than what I'm accustomed to, different how it's being operated out there. Okay. And what do I mean by that? So this is also part of our new approach, but I want to spend a few minutes to show you how simple thinking or logical thinking can change things around dramatically. In a traditional property management company, almost always, they will tell you the following. When the tenant moves out, we're going to come in after they move out, review the property, tell you what's going on, and based on what's going on, we'll decide how much work or turnover or make ready, whatever is necessary. Maybe have our vendor or vendors coming and provide you the bids, and then you will approve it, and then work will start, and then work will finish, and then we'll send a photographer, and then we can list it out, right? What I just told you, if a very efficient property management company, super efficient, and there's not a lot of work, we just lost 2 weeks, right? Because no property manager shows up the day after the tenant moved out, right? They moved on a Sunday. The property manager maybe be there on Monday, very likely on Tuesday, right? And by the time the vendor that needs to do the bid will be there and provide the bid, if they're really efficient, it will be Friday, right? Because he cannot be there on Tuesday or Wednesday, only on Thursday, and he's not going to do it right immediately. He needs a few hours to prep it, and only on Friday. This is efficient. This means we only lost so far 5 days. Now, if you, God forbid, have question about the bid, that will roll into Monday and Tuesday, and maybe by Wednesday we have a finalized bid. And then, if we're lucky, work starts on a Friday, right? I'm not making that up. This is how it goes, right? And again, if they're super efficient, we save a few days here and there. So far, I'm already 2 weeks and work has not started. I'm sure some of you who own properties know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe 10 days. And then work starts, takes a few days, and it's ready. And then they want to send a photographer. I don't know why. We had it a picture before, whatever. Only photographer I've seen 3 days around that, just taking photos. He can do it this day, do it the other day. He needs to touch up the photos. 3 days for photos. Oh my God, what a lack of inefficiency. Remember, I told you earlier, inefficiencies. You guys, 3 weeks, just like that, and the house is not even listed yet. Unbelievable. So much inefficiency. Now, ask the property manager to work differently. They will give you tons of excuses why it wouldn't work. I'll give them that. They're absolutely right about what they're saying, because in some instances, they are correct and it will work the same way they are doing it right now. But how about you try in the other instances to do things differently so you can save up on time. And what I did is the following. I broke, on what you're seeing in front of you, I broke all those listing, tasks into specific tasks. And I said, let's re-examine, and myself, can some of those tasks be done in parallel and not in a series, right? Can it be done? Guess what? Absolutely. Many of them can be done at the same time, right? So we can already speed up just by doing those processes a little bit more efficiency, but that's not enough. Then I asked myself, can some of those tasks be done or complete before the current tenant moves out? Guess what? Yes, right? And I'll give you an asterisk of that. I'll give you something, some comment about that. But in some instances, yes. So here we are. Instead of waiting for the tenant to move out and then starting the process, how about I do many of the tasks way before the tenant moves out? And by the time they move out, the only thing left to do is start to do the work itself of the freshening up, make ready, turn, churn, whatever you want to call it, right? And then instead of losing 3 weeks before we list the house, maybe we lose 1 week before we list the house or something like that. Depends how much work is needed. Or maybe, crazy as it may sound, we can actually list the house while work is being done to the property. Oh my God, what a crazy idea. I know I'm sure you're blown away, but that's so creative idea. Well, now let me explain how it works. The property managers are just not willing to do it this way. They have a ton of excuses why it would not work. And in probably 20% of the cases, they are correct. I do not argue with it. Why are you holding hostage 80% of the cases, the scenarios? You know what? 70% of the scenarios, by what it's dictating, is the 30% that just wouldn't follow the way I want it to be, the vision, the ideal way, right? The best way that can happen, right? Why all the other ones are going to be held in the same manner? Because few of them, are going to be done in the traditional way. What is the traditional? Why would we have properties in the traditional way? Well, we're going to have maybe an uncooperative tenant. They are just giving us hard time for us want to talk to them and come to the property and evaluate what needs to be done before they move out. We may run into a problematic tenant. Guess what? Okay, that will put us on the traditional way. What can I do? We tried. Okay, not all, but it's not every tenant is going to be this way. Maybe we give them a little perk to cooperate with us. How about a situation where the work or the condition of the house is such unclear or needs a lot of work, and you know what? We might as well wait for them to move out and then do it the traditional way. I'll take it, no problem. I'm in. Okay. Again, let's just say for even to be more pessimistic about it, 50% of the time it's going to be the traditional way for one reason or another, and the other 50% are going to be in the new methodology, right? And the new methodology is just doing things a little bit different earlier in the process, trying to not start the process when a person moves out, but actually when they're still in the property. So when I've done that, I realized how much I can save on vacancy. Every day a house is not vacant is not only losing on income, it's expenses, right? So if we can, on most rentals, reduce the number of vacancy between tenants by more than 50%, for me, that just sounds a lot of money on the table that is not being touched, right? So I've created a new category. I call it a leasing specialist. And I started lining up leasing specialists. You know what the number one criteria for leasing specialist? You cannot be working for a property management company. If you are a leasing person and that's what you do for a living, but you work for a property management company and you're using the traditional methods, it's not going to work. I need fresh. I need someone who understands how leasing can be done more efficiently and try to do it the efficient way, realizing it may not always work, but at least we have, if you're not setting up systems and processes in place for more efficiency and more success, it's never going to happen, right? But if you try, maybe it will fail, but maybe it will happen, succeed, right? So that's the whole point here. Now, when I started doing all those exercises, I realized there's more things that I need to do early on in the process, maybe as early as I'm buying the property, in order to be more efficient when the property is going to be ready for leasing. So now I started telling my clients, when we buy a property, I want you to do few more little things. Some of them cost a little bit of money, more money, a very tiny amount, and some of them don't even cost, right? And I'll give you 2 examples in a moment to show you that. And I started telling my clients, let's do 1, 2, 3, and at least try to improve, because I'm already looking into the leasing and things that I can do early on. So simple, such small tweak, and I'm saving 3 days here, 4 days there, money, few bucks here, etc. Oh my God. And I'm sometimes even positioning the property better when I'm ready to marketing to list it, right? And I'll give you 2 examples just from the past week, right? One property that was purchased exactly 1 week ago. Sorry, 1 week and 1 day. Wednesday, right? It closed on Wednesday. Purchase closed on Wednesday. It was listed for leasing on Friday. Ready, a day and a half. Okay, which feels a lot of time for me, but you know what? That's fine. Second example, fresh. We have clients. I have clients that signed the documents and sent the wire. I want to say 2, maybe 3 hours ago, something around 2 or 3 hours ago. Done. I just went, maybe half an hour before when we started this class, I saw a text. We have a group text between the property manager, myself, and the buyer. He said, guys, I already posted the property for leasing. Truth to be told, the house was in very good condition, so we didn't need to do any type of work. Maybe just clean it. He's going to clean it over the weekend or after the weekend. It doesn't matter. The house is not in bad shape, and there's few little touches. We don't need to hold everything. He could have easily said, let's wait, tomorrow I'll go to the property, I'll photograph it, maybe the weekend, I'll list it on Monday or Tuesday. Usually that's how it rolls out with Raw Property Mill. The property is already listed. It's only you know what? I'm not sure if the funding officially took place because the wire was so late. Maybe funding is going to be tomorrow. The property is already listed for leasing as we speak. And the reason he was able to list it so quickly is primarily because I told them and him to do a couple of things when we were buying this property that made him more ready for listing right now. And we pushed him a little bit, right? And we told him, if you do this, you'll be ready. I didn't even have to ask him. He immediately knew when the house closing, he's listing it. So how many times can you say that you've seen a house that you bought on the day you bought it or the day after or within 2 days, it was listed for leasing, right? Again, assuming it's not a house that needs a lot of work, assuming it's a rent ready or somewhat rent ready, right? Even when there's sometimes rent ready, the leasing or property manager takes another 3 days to put everything. Why? I don't know, right? So here is an example. We're already leaving those optimizations in our network, and few little tweaks, maybe many little tweaks are really improving, right? Are really helping improving everything. That's the whole point. And I think this is going to be the wrap for our last segment, and we're going to gladly go into the questions and conversations. But I want to say this. We offer our clients every 6 months, every year, every other year, as part of being our clients, right? You're most welcome to have a session with me, one-on-one, and I call it an audit session or an evaluation session or poke holes in your portfolio. And I run for about an hour and a half, depending how extensive the portfolio is. And I ask a lot of questions. What's going on? Where are the problems? And there's never been a time that one of my clients wrapped up the session without having homework on his end of things that he needs to do in order to improve the cash flow, improve the rent, the income, fix something here, change something with his mindset, how he's doing things, right? Sometimes I need to tell them, you are going not ideally about something, you should do it a little bit differently. I changed the thinking. and then, or help them change the thinking, and they come back, and start working better with their property managers, right? The whole point is to position, either to at least position your portfolio more secure, more strong. That's the whole point. Better producing. And sometimes, very rarely, I find someone that they're really on the top of the game. It happens, but it's so rare to see someone on top of the game. Then the whole conversation takes a turn. How you need to position yourself personally to buy more. What do you need to do in order to buy more? So just be aware of that. I call it an audit. This is something that we do. The reason I'm offering it out for a fee, it's not free. For my clients, it's free, but for other people who are not our clients, we offer it for a fee. It takes usually an hour and a half, depending on the portfolio. Is the following. I've learned many years ago. Many of us real estate investors, we live in the online with forums and groups and chatting. Great, and we can always ask a question here, a question there. But usually, real estate investors are a very lone creature, or lonely creature in the sense of investors. And many times we accumulate thinking and questions in our mind about how we operate. And rarely do we have an opportunity to bounce with someone else saying, hey, how, am I doing it correctly? I have 5 questions I've been stewing for the past year. I don't really have the opportunity to run it by someone. All of a sudden, another investor that comes in with experience, ask you questions about your portfolio. Here's an opportunity to ask questions about how you're producing. Has nothing to do with our properties. How you operating, something that you're not sure about. I have had situations that investors said, you know what? I'm just hearing that the way I operate, you're telling me it sounds correct or makes sense, or you telling me the solutions I was able to find to solve my challenges are actually good ones, or just hearing that someone echoing that what you're kind of debating or lacking the confidence or not sure is giving you, what, it's a good solution, or it's a good way, or if it works for you, it's actually good. Also help you with the doubts. We all have doubts. We are not always 100% confident about what we do. And usually we don't have this setting, right? Somewhere we can go have a conversation about you and your portfolio. And I'll tell you, when I do this audit with none of my clients, with my clients as well, I don't come with an agenda to sell you anything. I come with a clear agenda. You're paying for my expertise with a clear goal that I want to poke holes in your portfolio. Never happened that I wasn't able, right? That never happened. But always there's things that I can suggest, things that you can do, or at least give you the assurances that you're doing it correctly. You run that by me. So if you guys are interested in that, that will be my only sales pitch, and you don't even have to buy into it. If you're missing that in your life and you're looking for that person, expert, I'm offering it to you. If you are not, you don't even have to come to me. Just think about the idea. Find someone else to help you. Find someone else that it's a trusty in the sense that experienced resource that will come in and poke holes in your portfolio and tell you how you can perform better, right? That's the whole point. I don't care about you coming to me. I know the problem of being lonely as an investor. And I'm going to provide thank you, Jason, for asking. I'm going to provide my contact info like in 1 or 2 slides. And I think that's kind of wrapping it up for the content, the things I wanted to cover. And before I jump into the Q&C, here's my gift for you, just as appreciating you spending this evening with me. First of all, I really hope you found it valuable and informative. That's what I aspire to do. The 3 gifts that I want to offer you is, one is my ebook. Easy, simple, very common sense, very easy to follow based on experience. Kind of makes a lot of organize the thoughts, the thinking about different aspects of investing. I have a whole section on the challenges, or I call it the chronic syndrome of fourplexes. It's really healthy read for someone who's even considering buying a fourplex, or you know what, a must read, or for someone who's considering a fourplex. So that's gift number 1. Gift number 2 is a list of, I think, almost 90 different resources Some are very obvious, like Zillow, I think it's there, but some are really, here's a tool, here's a tool, here's a tool, and a lot of other ones, you know, that you can use. So I call it useful resources or links. And the third one, we curated, and it's not available to the public. I think maybe 10 videos that I've done over the years, of the recent years, with information about LLCs, right? Some common sense about LLCs, common mistakes, different things. Very much, if you're here, you know a little bit about my style. You're most welcome to benefit from those educational videos. Again, those are not publicly available, right? They're hidden links or unlisted links, whatever. So if you want to get those presents, gifts from us, just go to our website, simplydoit.net/simplydoitgifts, and use the code simplydoit10 in order not to pay. And I want to say one thing. We have had yesterday and the day before some challenges with our website regarding the purchases. So if for some reason it's still not fixed, because they should have fixed it today, but if there's still a problem with obtaining it, just shoot us an email and we'll send it to you. No problem. I just want to kind of apologize. Those things happen. Hopefully it's fixed, but if you run into a problem, no problem, right? Just let us know. Gladly say, hey, Danny mentioned in the webinar, can I get those gifts? Done, right? Easy. So thank you, and I apologize if you're having any challenges. Hopefully that has been corrected. Briefly about Simply Do It, just as so you know what we do. I didn't even mention that. We help clients, as you can tell probably, buy long-term rental properties in multiple US metros. We have vetted metros, vetted agents, vetted property managers, vetted properties. Now we have a whole new concept ecosystem for managing properties, not with property managers, that we're rolling out. Very active in the greater Nashville, Tennessee, not just Metro Nashville, much more than that. In St. Louis, Kansas City, Birmingham, Alabama. Those are the 4 most active markets. I should have said we have lenders, or 2 lenders what they like to work with. We also have teams that we do a little bit in Tampa, Orlando, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth. Just not very active in those markets due to the interest rate and, you know, numbers, etc. But every once in a while we do. So we do a lot of helping clients buy remote rentals in different parts of the country. So that's just to give you a little bit what we're all about. I do want to say that if you are thinking about investing and you're kind of not sure where to start, or you know what you want to start, but you're not sure how to go about it, we offer free of charge, one-on-one with me, probably with me and my and Jessica works with me. Have a discussion in person if you're in Orange County, over the phone, over Zoom, whatever you want. We're comfortable with all, obviously. 30 minutes. Nobody's going to sit there with a watch. Usually it lasts into 45 plus minutes, and take it down a notch to a more intimate setting. Every time we speak to someone, there's challenges, there's questions, there's personal concerns about the sort of situation, or just concern or question or concerns about the process or the teams or the markets or us. We want to have a very open discussion. I come to those sessions with one, objective in mind. My objective is to make you comfortable about the concept of investing and working with us. That's it. No sales pitch, no boot camps, no gifts, no nothing, right? We're not going to even talk about the specific property. We're just going to have a conversation, a welcome call, we call it a welcome conversation, just to see if this is a good fit. Are we a good fit for you, for what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, or not? And we are also going to see if this is a good fit for us at the same time. If you are interested in spending this 30 to 45 minute session with me, again, no pitching whatsoever, just a conversation, just either let us know, or you can go to our pre-meeting intake on simplydoit.net/intake. Simplydoit.net/intake. It'll take you 3.5 to 4.5 minutes to complete some questions. no credit card, no social security. We're not asking personal stuff, just the prep. So we are more prepared. You and us are more prepared to the meeting. That's the whole point of this intake. You take those few minutes, you complete it, we receive it, reach out, set up a time, have a conversation, and maybe become, maybe work together, maybe not. We'll see. So that's how you get in touch with us to set up a time for the our traditional investment program. If you want to reach out and ask about this audit, poking holes in your portfolio, just shoot me an email and we'll set up a time for that as well. Here are some additional resources. We have, shockingly, we have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos, all educational, a podcast with hundreds of episodes, all educational. We have a website. We have a supplementary website for properties. And we have a Telegram channel that we do a little bit of a pushing into your palm if you want to get updates, things that's happening, if you're interested, right? Properties as well. So that's how all the resources. That being said, let's just see. Here's my contact information. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm going to leave. I'm actually going to stop sharing and open it up for questions. So now that I am done with everything that I want to cover, I'm going to open the question. Jason is asking, how can we call you? Hopefully I provided enough contact information for you to reach out. If not, let me know. And I'm going to wait quietly to see if there are any additional questions. And while I'm waiting quietly, I'm going to check if I have water around here because I am parched. Okay, I'll be the one. I'm gonna pick on you guys. I'm gonna ask you, where are you guys from? Just geographically, where are you right now, or where are you from? Usually, if you're not at home or not in your immediate surrounding. Colorado. Thank you. Number one. Nice. Colorado. All right. I'm gonna more in the Denver area or the Colorado Springs area. Beautiful area. Love that area. Both, by the way. Between Castle Pine. Nice. 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 Very good. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So Evgeny, since you are so responsive, I will see it. Is there anything specific that you want me to expand or answer regarding anything that I've mentioned?
Actually, I have a question about the insurance.
Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, is it something that everyone can use, or only for properties that we are buying through you?
Sorry, what I missed the beginning. Something about everybody can use. What is it you're talking about?
Like if I'm doing fix and flip for myself, for example, can I use your insurance, or only I can use it for the properties that I am buying from you?
You can reach out to the insurance via the link that was on the slide, and that is already through our partnership program with them. Whether they will give you what kind of insurance they can provide you on a fix and flip, this is between you and them. I have no idea. So we are just creating this connection or partnership with them, and you're most welcome to try, see see if they're able to provide you what you're looking for, if it's suitable for what you're trying to do, and in a good price. And the starting point of the conversation is already going to be under the Simply Do It partnership program, so to speak.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. We are not insurance providers. I don't know the details or underwriting on challenges. We're just trying to help our network be better shoppers and get better rates. That's it.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. Thank you. How many flips have you done?
Honestly, today I bought my first one.
Gotcha. Okay. Locally. Is it locally?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I just posted a short article on flipping last night when one of my clients, not a client, someone who's been asking, is not an actual client yet, wanted to understand my approach for flipping because I've done about 90 of them. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Can you share this article?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a second here. I'll gladly share it. Great. While I'm looking for the article, how about Tom, Daniel, Judy? Any questions from your end? Okay. Evgeny, here's the short. Oh, sorry. Okay, this link is to one of our blogs. We have, and you'll see it's the first article at the top, first one.
Great, thanks.
All right. Well, Evgeny, you get the 5-star participant of the day. So for being so cooperative, I appreciate it. I'm gonna wrap it up because I see no additional questions are coming. So good luck with the flip, of course. Thank you for joining tonight. All of you, I appreciate it. Hopefully you'll be able to have smooth access to the gifts, and maybe we'll see you in one of our upcoming events. Have a terrific rest of your evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.